Happy full moon in Virgo. This Virgo full moon becomes exact on Saturday, February 27th at 3:17 a.m. New York time, which is 8:17 Greenwich Mean Time. Virgo is a mutable earth sign that brings logic, order, practicality, ritual, communication, and understanding into focus. It opposes the sun in the mutable water sign of Pisces. Virgo seeks to understand, while Pisces simply feels. During this full moon time, we have the opportunity to find a balance between thinking and feeling and to use logical analysis and communication to our advantage. Virgo's ruler Mercury has gone back direct, and although it is still in its shadow phase, communication is getting clearer again with each passing day. In fact, we've entered a 2-month period where all planets are now traveling direct. This is a rare opportunity to make tremendous steps forward in your life. The themes of clearing and recalibration that were characteristic of the most recent eclipse season, and also of the weeks following that, have now given way to the theme of forward progress. Virgo rules the 6th house in astrology, which includes the themes of physical health, practicality, logic, organization, goal setting, action, and community service. These themes are the focus right now. In short, it is a time to get your life in order. It is a time to let your logical mind serve you. Your physical body and daily rituals should be the focus for the next 28 days. Journaling will be extra helpful at this time. To figure out what you need to work on during the next 28 days and beyond, start with what's closest to you, your own flesh and bones. How has your body been feeling? Have you been sleeping enough? Have you been exercising? Are you eating well? Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking high quality water? Are there some medical issues that need to be addressed? The name of the game now and for the next 28 days is self-care. Putting yourself first is a great act of kindness towards yourself. And of course, the more your own cup is filled, the more effectively you are able to help others or make them smile. Ultimately, you come into this world with yourself, you are with yourself 24/7, and you leave this planet with yourself. No one else is going to put you first. Self-care is not an easy thing to master because we tend to fall into patterns of complacency. It is normalized on our planet for people to get into a routine consisting of survival, working for money, taking care of their home and family, sleep, and entertainment, and that's it. Most people leave little wiggle room to optimize their physical and mental health through healthy routines. And of course, it's not most people's fault because, the economics of this planet, the truth is that most people do have to work very hard to make just enough money to survive. But it is something that we can always, no matter what our situation is, we can just eke out a little bit more time during the day for a healthy ritual. It's something that I've struggled with as well, keeping up with healthy rituals and having self-discipline. So it's one of the consistent lessons that's in my life plan that I'm being called to master. Self-discipline, in reality, is what separates those who experience a very high level of success, whether it be in business or in art or athletics or in whatever one is trying to master in their life, as opposed to someone who experienced moderate or little success. Both being and doing are relevant and important in a spiritual awakening journey, and even though it might at first glance seem contradictory what I'm about to say, self-discipline with daily rituals can not only amplify and assist your ability to create and accomplish, which is the doing, but it can also assist you in better learning how to be, as good daily rituals will clear your mind of toxic thoughts, ground you, and get you excited about life. Here are some suggestions for adding some supportive daily rituals in honor of this Virgo full moon. Belly breathing meditation, mantra chanting, and there's a lot of great videos on YouTube where you can chant along with the mantras. Journaling, brain gym exercises, and if you're not familiar with what the brain gym exercises are, you can look those up on YouTube or on your favorite search engine. Same goes for the cortices technique. Look that one up. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, pulling a daily tarot card, a daily walk, jog, or bike ride, a daily fresh juice, a daily healthy smoothie, saying I love you to yourself in the mirror upon awakening and before bed. That's a great ritual. And even making it a practice is spending a couple minutes repeating that to yourself. And it's especially really powerful when you do that and you look into your own eyes while you're saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Daily reading time, emotional freedom technique, tapping, daily cleaning or organizing time, and a new healthy diet. And here are some tips for implementing and actually keeping up with supportive and healthy daily rituals. Start with 1 or 2 things at a time. Keep discipline with those 1 or 2 rituals before adding another one. Plan ahead. Make it a no-brainer for you to actually do the ritual. Examples of this: clean your juicer right after using it so it doesn't seem like such a chore to use it again. Place your running shoes right by the front door the night before. Put your yoga mat right next to your bed. Put your journal on your nightstand. Set alarms on your phone for times when you'd like to do a certain ritual. Keep a daily checklist on paper, your phone, or on a whiteboard. Have a consistent bedtime and wake-up time. Strive to do rituals at a consistent time of day. This trains your brain to expect that you're going to actually do the ritual. So for example, a daily walk or run, maybe you make it right after lunch or 30 minutes after lunch. Maybe you make your deep breathing time right when you wake up. Maybe you make your journaling time right before bed. The more you plan it out ahead of time, the more likely you're going to do it. And if you do it at a consistent time of day, the more likely you're going to do it. Schedule leisure time throughout the week. We want to make sure we're giving ourselves a chance to relax and to be spontaneous and to be social or whatever we want to do, but schedule that for yourself so you make sure you're not glossing it over. When you actually schedule it, then you're more likely to use the rest of the week to actually be very productive and keep up with rituals. Don't try to schedule or plan too many things at once or too many rituals at once. Make it reasonable and attainable. So don't try to, go after listening to this video and make a list of 20 different rituals that you're going to do. I've done that in the past many times. It never works out. The only thing that actually works is if you pick a couple at a time and you actually keep up with it. And then you can start adding on. And then once you start building that momentum, then all of a sudden maybe there are 10 rituals a day or 12 rituals a day that you're able to keep up with. But don't try to start all 12 at once. It just won't work. Be mindful to avoid dopamine-releasing activities at night, and these can be movies, video games, social media scrolling, pornography, eating junk food, drug, alcohol use. We tend to do those dopamine-releasing activities more at night than in the morning or the afternoon. Go to bed earlier if you find your night times being unproductive or leading to addictive habits or dopamine-seeking habits like this. And anyways, going to sleep earlier is better for the body. Charge your phone in another room in order to prevent yourself from dawdling on it. That's a great tip. Actually, physically put your phone in another room. Then you're not going to use it. Put on music that will make it easier to do whatever you're desiring to do during that part of the day. So if you're studying or working hard, maybe you put on classical music. If you're exercising, put on some rock music or some pop. If you are meditating, put on the mantras. So use music, use sound to your advantage. Cleaning house literally. If you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising sign, you're likely pretty organized already, but for the rest of us, this Virgo full moon is a much needed reminder to clean up and organize our spaces. It is certainly easier to have a calm and organized mind when your living environment is clean and organized. If your home is pretty messy, the best places to start are the areas where you spend the most time, like your bedroom, your car, your living room, your office, as these areas will most directly affect your energy field and your mind. Integrating logic with intuition. When the Virgo full moon rolls around annually, we get to see this interesting and important polarity play out between logic and intuition. The sun has joined Neptune, the planet of mysticism, intuition, and illusion, in Neptune's home sign of Pisces, where it is also currently joined by Venus. My moon sign is Virgo, and this could be why I believe that one of my primary contributions to the spiritual community is my advocacy for the use of logic and practicality. Although there's a wealth of wonderful, helpful, and practical information, guidance and psychic predictions out there on this internet, the space is also riddled with misinformation, airy-fairy premises with little practical application, and false channelings. It's because of my own past experiences with false channelings, not so talented psychics, misinformation, and the illusions of the mind that I feel it is so important to emphasize the use of logic. I don't wish to use this particular transmission to go into a detailed diatribe on all the false predictions that circle the spiritual communities of the internet over the past year, but I would just like to point out that not everything you hear or read is necessarily accurate or a true channeling, regardless of who it is being channeled from or what the source is. I believe it is healthy to keep the viewpoint of a healthy skeptic, even if something feels true. You can believe something and still be open to it being wrong or incomplete. So anything I see or read out there, if it feels true, I'm like, you know what, that feels true, but I'm open to it being wrong. I'm open to something else coming out. I'm open to it being incomplete. And yes, there are true channelings out there. There are. And there are true channeled books out there as well. I'm going to mention one of these coming up. But many channelings are partially or fully coming from ego mind and not from a true source. For those who work with me or know me personally, they're sometimes surprised at how logical I am, considering my psychic abilities. In fact, I believe that one of the reasons that I tend to be pretty clear and accurate with my psychic faculties is because I run whatever information I garner from my psychic pathways through a logical filter of does this make sense? Logic and intuition do not have to be enemies. For example, I am a medical intuitive and I use psychic vision and abilities to receive information about what's going on inside the body. However, I also have studied human anatomy. It's hard to see what's going on inside the body if you don't know where the organs are. I regularly read abstracts of medical studies when I come across something that I'm interested in. I have extensively studied supplements and I continue to do so. I have stacks of alternative medical books here at home. I often encourage clients to get alternative medical tests done if they can afford them, and I believe everyone should get a yearly blood test to keep track of some crucial markers. I believe test numbers can be a good complement to intuitive information. One of my favorite books is called Expansion for Ascending Consciousness by Todd R. Deviney. And this is an in-depth channeled, but I do believe this is a wonderful and a very true channeled material. It's a channeled scientific explanation of the quantum physics of the universe and of ascension. And after reading this book, and now there's a second book out, which I'm just getting started with, I realized that most everything, short of, the primordial questions of what is God or what is source, short of that, most everything can be explained via science and math. I highly recommend checking it out if you're scientifically minded or if you're just curious. It's a very slow read as it carries an incredible amount of information. You'll read through 2 sentences at a time and have to pause to just absorb and try to have your mind figure out what the author is saying and the information that's being presented, because there's just a wealth of information in every sentence. But it's fantastic, it's mind-blowing, and there's absolutely nothing else out there that I believe that's like this in its depth. And I'm saying everything can be explained via science and math, but this is on a way different level than science or math that you'll read in mainstream publications. So I highly recommend checking it out if you're interested in the Virgo-minded aspect of explaining things via the mind, as I'm very much interested in. Again, it's Expansion for Ascending Consciousness by Todd R. Deviney. It's available on Amazon. My point is that logic isn't something that needs to be demonized while we're on the spiritual journey. You can live from your heart and make some important decisions from the gut while still using your logical mind to navigate the majority of your life. I mean, if you really think about it, most of the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis throughout the day are logic-based. You have the set of things that you want to accomplish during the day. You wake up and you think, I got to do this and this and this and this, and I also got to eat and take care of this person and do this and take care of the animals and take care of my car or whatever comes up, right? And that's all logic. That's all logic-based. The logical mind tells you how to get from one step to the next. Something that's interesting, I'd like to address the topic of intuitive eating. Many people are following this trend of intuitive eating, which is basically the idea that you listen to your body's signals and you eat what you're called to eat. And I think it's great as long as logic isn't completely thrown out the window. I think it's great to pay attention to what it feels like your body is needing. And I can relate to sometimes feeling like I need a little bit more grounding food. Sometimes I feel a little bit like I need a little bit lighter food. And listening to whether your body feels like it's needing more protein or more fat or more light fruit, more melons, for example. But I do believe you should have a general plan that is based on logic that gives you the template of how you're going to eat. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to either go high carb, low fat, or low fat, high carb. That is something that needs to be planned out logically. If you want to lose weight on a ketogenic diet, you have to keep yourself under about 20 or 25 grams of carbs, or else it's not really going to work. Intermittent fasting is a great option for some people, and that's something that should be planned out logically. You want to logically plan out, okay, I'm going to eat one meal a day at this time, or I'm going to eat 2 meals a day. I'm going to eat this many calories in a day, 1,500 calories in a day, 1,800 calories, 2,000 calories in a day, whatever. And I'm going to fast for 18 hours of the day. You want to plan that out logically and follow it, because if you then start following your body signals, anytime you're doing a fast, whether it's intermittent fasting or water fasting, your body's probably going to get hungry at some point, and you're going to feel like if you listen to your body, you're going to be called to eat and break the fast, and then you're not going to get the benefits that you would have if you had followed through. And the same, like when you're going into the fast, you want to plan out what your meal is going to be. You probably want to eat something very light going into a fast. When you're coming out of the fast, you want to eat something very light. If you're doing, let's say, a 1 or 2 or 3 day water fast, right? You come out with a salad. That should all be logically planned. You don't want to say, oh, my body, I just came out of a fast. My body feels intuitively like I'm going to go eat a hamburger. And I know people who have done this, and it doesn't turn out well, okay? You want to really plan it out logically in advance. So that's my point about merging logic with intuition. Sure, listen to your body and what its signals are, but use your logic to plan out how you should eat to accomplish your long-term goals. And the same goes for supplements. My advice is to not choose supplements or homeopathic remedies based purely on intuition. I've tried doing this. I've tried doing it with intuition. I've tried doing it with muscle testing. It doesn't turn out well. You don't get a whole lot of success. At least that's what I found. Rather, consult with someone. You can consult with me if you'd like. Go to a naturopath, go to an integrative medical doctor, go to a homeopath, go to someone you trust who can give you a plan based on which supplements or remedies will logically ameliorate the conditions or symptoms you're intending to work on. I have great respect for homeopaths who use a logical progression of questions to evaluate the patient's constitution. Constitution in the homeopathic context basically means taking into account the psychological, physical, emotional, and spiritual state of the patient and putting that all together into kind of an overview of where the patient is at. And then the homeopath will logically whittle down to a selection of potential remedies. And often the homeopath will use intuition then, if there's a couple different options, to choose the best one, which is really cool. So it's a great example of a merging of logic and intuition. Eckhart Tolle, who is the person in the spiritual community that I respect the most out of anyone, was once asked in one of his talks how to make decisions. And I'm paraphrasing this from memory. I couldn't find the exact video. But I recall him saying to first use your logical mind to eliminate any potential choices that aren't possible or don't make sense at the time. Then from a place of presence, use your intuition to choose. And I love this perspective. We are logical beings, and we don't need to throw out logic completely. Ideally, we want to integrate logic and intuition. Sometimes what's most logical is really the only feasible or realizable choice. When logic says there are several choices that are plausible, feasible, and realizable, that's when it's a great opportunity to utilize intuition to make the best possible choice. When intuition is strongly telling you to choose one thing over another, Even if it might seem less logical than the other choice, then you should at least acknowledge and consider what your intuition has to say, as long as there would be at least some logic in choosing that what at first glance seemed like the less logical choice. Again, we don't want to throw logic completely out the window. For example, let's say you're walking in the park and you felt a strong, undeniable call to walk off the trail and to go into the bush. Even if you couldn't explain why, your logical mind could still say, in response to that intuitive hit, okay, maybe my intuition's leading me to something I need to see. Maybe it'll lead me to a special rock or a circle that has special energy to it, or a special tree with a special energy to it. Something like that. It and your logical mind can then say, okay, this can make sense based on maybe my intuition has something to say here, and let's watch out for poison ivy. Let's watch out for poison oak. Let's watch what we're stepping on so we don't step on something. Let's not step on a beehive. This is a great example of a reasonable and healthy merging of logic and intuition. The thing is, though, what seems like intuition isn't always actually intuition, which complicates things. I've seen and spoken to a lot of people who thought their intuition was telling them to do something, and it turned out it was an illusion of the ego mind. This happened to me during a period in my life when I was taking part in a lot of plant medicine ceremonies, and I was way too much up in my head and spending a lot of time in the astral plane, and I was misinterpreting intuition. Here's a good example of this as well. Years ago, I was in the supermarket with my very dear friend, who is now on the other side. We had been talking about intuition over the days prior and trying to figure out how to better use it. He randomly grabbed some sort of boxed product from the dry section and left it in the frozen section with the ice cream. And I looked at him and I asked him, why did he do that? And he said that his intuition told him to. And it was at that point that I realized that there's a fine line between intuition, impulse, and illusion derived from the ego mind. Both intuition and illusion lie in the realm of Pisces and Neptune. To discern which is which isn't easy, and in fact, for most of us, it will take a lifetime of negotiating trial and error and figuring this out. It is not something that I've completely figured out myself yet either. I just do the best I can, and I always try to merge logic and intuition as much as possible. I wrote an ebook a few years back called Developing the Skills of Discernment and Intuition. It's free, and if you'd like a copy, you can email me at youaredivinehuman@gmail.com. In general, intuition is very subtle, while ego mind is often coercing, impulsive, or has a story behind it. For example, my dear friend went on to explain to me that the boxed product was supposed to be with the ice cream for some reason. That was his explanation. And that was my cue, my understanding that it wasn't intuition what he was doing, because it didn't make any logical sense whatsoever. And I know sometimes intuition doesn't necessarily need to make complete logical sense, but it should make some logical sense. You should be able to go back and be able to explain it. That's just the way I see things. And again, I could be wrong with all of this. This is just my personal view. And I know as a Virgo moon, I may have a different view on this as some others, and that's okay. My favorite method for making decisions is to check in with my body. So what does my body feel like when I think about choice A? What does my body feel like when I think about choice B? Even this exercise, though, can actually sometimes lead you astray as well. And this will only usually happen when there's a feeling that you need to push through in order to get to something that's important. For example, someone could be asking, oh, should I take this job? And they might feel a sense of anxiety in their body when they think about going for the interview and afterward. And the question would become, well, is the anxiety because the job's not right for you, it'll be too constricting, or is the anxiety simply the fear about the interview itself, or about putting together a resume, or about performing in an interview? And that's something that would need to be figured out. But for the most part, this is a great way to make decisions. So I find that most of the time this works. Go with what feels good in your body, and it will lead you down the best path. Another good method is to put your hand over your heart and ask if a certain decision is in the highest good for your evolution. Then feel the sensation in your heart. Does it feel like, quote unquote, angel wings in your heart are going up? And this would likely be an aligned decision. Or does it feel like these wings are kind of going down and dying? And that would be a not so aligned decision. So ask yourself, would this be my highest evolution? Hand over heart? Do you feel a lightness and excitement? Do you feel like angel wings are going up? Or the wings are kind of going down and dying? The tarot is a fantastic tool to assist in decision making as well. However, it should not be a replacement for actually making the decision. I've really become best friends with my tarot deck over the past year, and I don't know why I ever took a few years off of it. And I find it to be really helpful in showing me the energies present in the situation I'm inquiring about. However, the tarot will never make a decision for you. It's only there to help clarify the situation at hand and to give you a sense of possible outcomes. And it should be noted that fear or anxiety will cloud the cards when you're reading for yourself and can sometimes give you false readings. So if you're anxious or fearful, have someone else read for you. Another fine line that is difficult to discern is fear versus intuition. If you're feeling the need to avoid something, is that your intuition or is that your fear? Again, it's hard to tell, but the number one thing I would pay attention to is whether there's a long story behind it, that would likely be fear, or if it's a subtle feeling that you should avoid something and you can't really explain why, just a subtle feeling, and that is more likely to be intuition. And again, as I said before, merging logic and intuition, of course, even in that case, you should be able to go back and say, okay, I get that subtle sense, and then maybe it's because this or this could happen, or I would experience this, or I would feel this, or whatever, and then your logical mind can kind of merge with your intuition. But in general, the actual intuitive hit, as I call it, is very subtle. It's very quiet, but it's undeniable. And that's different than fear, which is the mind already right off the bat telling a story. And the story a lot of times will go in circles. And again, check out my ebook if you're interested. Email me, yourdivinehuman@gmail.com if you'd like that. And I have more methods and information, details on how to discern all this. Ideally, logic and intuition should line up. That's the sweet spot. And it's hard to make a bad decision from there. If you got two Venn diagrams, logic, intuition right in the middle, if they actually do meet, there you go. You have nothing to question. And even if the decision doesn't work out in the end or unexpected results come about from that decision, it would be hard to go back and blame yourself for making that decision because logic and intuition both said yes. And if the outcome doesn't end up being what you wanted or it ends up being unexpected, then it was probably exactly the experience you needed anyways. I'd like to quote Eckhart Tolle from a 2018 video, and this is found on YouTube. You can search for Eckhart Tolle, Can We Trust Our Feelings and Intuition? And this gives us a little bit more clarity on discerning true intuition. And I'm taking direct quotes, but I'm taking only portions of direct quotes. If you read the article, you'll see that there's ellipses between each part of the direct quote. He says, intuition comes out of presence. There is a quiet strength behind your feeling. You may not be able to explain to others why. There is a peaceful quality to it. And as I said earlier, the negotiation between logic and intuition is really a lifelong journey. It's one of many manifestations of the interplay and cooperation between the left masculine mind and the right feminine mind. And establishing this coherence between the left and right brains is an important part of the spiritual journey. Physically, things we can do to help with that coherence, the brain gym exercises are great, and the cortices technique. I really recommend looking those up. Balancing logic and intuition in your life and honoring and utilizing both sides of the story here, logic and intuition, is another important journey in establishing this balance between the brain hemispheres. Letting go of fear and worry. Another aspect of Neptune is fear, and especially fear caused by illusion of the mind. Have you ever heard this acronym of FEAR, fear, false evidence appearing real? That is a great moniker to remember at this time. Release worry and fear and get into the Piscean flow of life. One of the shadow aspects of Virgo is overthinking, fear, and paranoia. When this overthinking arises, as it does from time to time for all of us, including moi, with my moon in Virgo, use the breath to settle your mind and turn your attention toward gratitude and beauty. My animals, nature, and music always does the trick for me. Worry is the act of using the Virgo mind against oneself. As Tollet says famously, either accept the situation or change it, all else is madness. Worrying about something does not improve the situation. Solutions which come from the higher aspects of the Virgo mind arise when one is relaxed and feels safe. This is why sometimes solutions to complex problems come when you least expect them to, like when you're in the shower or on a walk. You're relaxed, receptive, and not pushing too hard for a solution, and you're not overthinking, and boom, a solution comes just like that. My parents are worriers. Their parents were worriers. So naturally, I've always kind of been a worrier. I'm always working on quieting my mind. What I've discovered is that worry is never actually about the situation at hand. Rather, it's a pattern. It's a pattern of ego mind that simply transfers its influence from one situation to the next. The situation is not the problem. It's the underlying pattern of worry. So the solution is almost always to divert one's attention to the present moment and to beauty and gratitude. And the more deep breathing you do throughout the day, the more relaxed your nervous system is, and the less overreactive your mind will tend to be. Improving communication. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the king of communication. The most effective way to become a better communicator is to learn to listen better. By listening better, we are giving the other person the gift of being heard, which is so often the underlying reason why we have conversations with one another in the first place. It feels good to be heard. The best interviewers out there are the ones you can tell listen very well. They're present in the conversation. They thus ask compelling follow-up questions that make for a really interesting interview. A poor interview will usually be nervous, stuck in their head, and ask only the pre-written questions as they're not really listening to what the interviewee is saying. Being present in our interactions with others enhances our quality of life immensely. Conversations become much more enjoyable when you listen better. And by listening to someone else's stories and experiences, it is more likely that they will reciprocate to you by listening to your stories and experiences. Being heard opens the heart and makes us want to make space to hear someone else. Another great tactic is taking a pause before you respond to anything anyone says. It is never wise to respond to anything someone says with anger, as anger only will make communication issue worse or cause further problems. Making it a habit to pause before responding gives you a buffer that ensures you won't say something you later regret. Even when you're not feeling triggered, taking a pause before responding allows you another moment to collect your thoughts and to make an even more effective statement. Those with high levels of charisma generally pause before speaking or responding. Another important part of learning better communication is boundary setting. Be honest with yourself and others about how you're willing to communicate and what's acceptable and what's unacceptable as far as the way that another person is communicating with you. There will be times when you simply don't feel like communicating, and that's okay. Honor that. It is okay to tell someone no. It's okay to tell someone you're too tired or you need space. It's okay to tell someone you need a break. It's okay to tell someone you're uncomfortable or it's not a good time. It's okay to reschedule commitments. Honoring these feelings builds healthy self-esteem. The most difficult people in your life to set proper boundaries with may very well be family members. They've known you for a long time, and they may think that it's okay to treat you like they treated you when you were a child. They may not be able to see or perceive that you have evolved. With family members, you must remember that you are allowed to evolve and you are allowed to change your boundaries when you feel it's necessary. Sometimes a family member will actually be open to discussing boundaries if you just give them the chance. It's best to always give others the benefit of the doubt, though if someone really won't honor your boundaries, family member or not, you may sometimes need to reduce or even fully walk away from communicating with them. Another really awesome way to improve communication is to give out more compliments. People love receiving compliments, and you'll find that as you dish out compliments to others, you'll find them coming back to you in unexpected and heartwarming ways. Saturn squaring Uranus. The square between Saturn and Uranus remains strongly active in the sky. Life may throw surprises at you now. Embrace the unexpected. There's always something important and wonderful to learn when life goes unexpectedly. Use the Piscean intuition and the Virgoan logic to navigate any obstacles that may arrive in your life. The feeling and sense of freedom is important right now. Pay attention to your inner feelings and honor where you feel you're being led, but of course don't throw logic out the window completely, as we said. Be spontaneous and do something different than you've done recently. Allow life to move you and move with life. Wishing you a wonderful full moon in Virgo. With love, Matthew John. And if you're not familiar with who I am, thank you so much for checking me out. I'm a spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, psychic, intuitive healer, starseed guide, energy healer, and medical intuitive. And I've been on over 12-year awakening journey. And I'd love for you to visit my website and check out all I have to offer. I have a whole library of free videos, audios, show appearances, and much more that you can check out to help with your spiritual awakening. It's youaredivinehuman.org, all spelled out, youaredivinehuman.org. And I also do offer private sessions worldwide to people via phone, Skype, WhatsApp, or Zoom. And I'd love for you to check out the options. Right now what I'm doing is enrolling people for my very popular spiritual mentoring program to get started during the last week of March or during the first week of April. And I'd love to briefly go over what you get in the spiritual mentoring program. So there's 4 tiers of packages, package A, B, C, and D. And in package A, there are 4 private sessions in total, 4 90-minute plus private sessions. You get an extended soul plan reading with me to start out. And in the soul plan reading, what I'm doing is connecting in with your higher self and your spirit guides, connecting in with my helper guides to get an understanding and a picture of your life plan. What did your soul plan out for you in this lifetime? What sorts of events? What are the lessons that you're going through right now and over the course of your lifetime? What are you really meant to learn while you're here? What is your dharma? What is your mission? What are you meant to create while you're here? We go into your relationships, karmic relationships. What are the soul contracts involved in any karmic relationships? These could be with family members, romantic partners, business partners, friends. And we'll also go into your future pretty in depth, what to expect this year, what to expect in the years to come, what to expect even decades to come if you'd like to go all the way out. And any questions at all that you have that would be helpful in you understanding yourself better. If you want to know where you're from in the stars, or if you're a new soul or an old soul, if you want to know how many past lives you've had, if you want to know who your spirit guides are, who your guardian angel is, anything like that, pretty much anything that you'd like to know, we should be able to answer for you in the soul plan reading. That's all in the first session. In the second session, we do the angel energy healing, the aura cleansing, a soul retrieval, an inner child healing, and an unhealthy attachment purging ceremony. And I know it sounds like a lot. It is, and we do our best to fit it all in one session. And it's a really in-depth shamanic and healing journey. We go in and we release blockages in your chakras that come from past life stuff and childhood stuff as well. And we replace it with wonderful new energy to help your chakras to grow and develop. We clean up your aura of anything that you don't want in there. And the soul retrieval feels fantastic as well, to call back parts of yourself that may have been lost and to feel and really experience a new, higher sense of grounding and of wholeness. It's fantastic. I highly recommend that. And that's all in the second session. The third session, you get a medical intuitive reading, which is for your physical body. And what I'm doing is I'm using my psychic faculties to do an intuitive scan of your body's organs, and just to get a sense of what the underlying root cause issues are for any symptoms or conditions you're experiencing. And we also talk about the metaphysical and the emotional causes and even past life causes of any symptoms or conditions you're experiencing. And then we go into solutions, and we talk about solutions as far as supplements, possibly homeopathic remedies, diet, lifestyle choices, and I'll do a chakra scan as well, and I'll give you information on the health of each of your chakras and which ones need the most work. And then you'll get an intuitive nutrition protocol. It's between 7 and 12 pages, and a chakra report, which is 1 or 2 pages. You'll get those in your email within a couple weeks after the session, which you can use these as a resource for a long time to know what is the best way of eating for you, what are the best supplements, what sound frequencies work for you, what lifestyle adjustments work for you, and much more. They're chock full of information. So that's all in the third session. The fourth session, we do the Starseed Discovery session, and this is a fun one. This, you get to find out where you're from in the stars if you are a starseed. And the truth is, if you're listening to this transmission, you most likely are a starseed. And you'll get to actually take an astral journey there. You'll get to take an astral journey to your home planet, to meet with your galactic guides, to receive an activation, and to explore your home planet. And it's a fantastic, fantastic experience. You get to find out all of the different stops along the way that your soul has had on the way to becoming you in the human form. And you'll get some more information on what your mission is and how you can bring those experiences from your starseed self that you've already had as wisdom into your experience as an earth being, and how you can use that to give back in your service work or your dharma. And so that's all in package A. You also get unlimited email support between calls. I give you spiritual homework between each call, a couple exercises. Shouldn't take you too much time, just to enhance the experience of what we're doing during the actual calls. And you also get 3 of my bonus webinars. You get Putting the Past in the Past, Mastering Your Intuition, and Spiritual Hygiene, Cord Cutting, and Grounding 101. And you get my bonus ebook that I talked about. I'll include that with the package, of course. And this is all package A, and there's a 2-payment option on this if you need. If you are in Australia, there's a 25% discount because of the exchange rate. If you're in Canada, there's a 20% discount because of the exchange rate. And also, I offer package B, which is all of that, plus a 2-hour past life regression. And the past life regression is an incredible experience as well. You're traveling in the astral plane back to previous lifetimes to actually live out the experience of what it's like being in different bodies that your soul embodied, and experiencing those experiences. Some people experience it in the first person. Some people see it in the third person as if it's a movie playing out. But it's an incredible experience. I highly recommend everyone do a past life regression at least once in their life. It was actually one of the things that was one of the first things that I did on my spiritual awakening journey about a decade ago. Was I had a past life regression, and it was absolutely incredible, an incredible experience. So I highly recommend that. It's a 2-hour past life regression. You should be able to go to between 2 and 3 lives, and you'll also go to the space between lives. And we make it very practical and applicable to your life. So we're going to ask questions like, why did your soul plan this out? What does it have to do with your current lifetime? What karma is left over from that lifetime that is now still active in this lifetime? What characters, which souls do you know in your current lifetime that were also there in this other lifetime that you're seeing? That's package B. And then package C has all that. The 4 sessions, the 5th session, which is the past life regression, plus a 6th session, which is the future life progression. And this is a journey into your future in this lifetime on your highest possible timeline. So you will actually journey and see what will happen on your highest possible timeline, a year out, 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, and so on. And it's great because it really gives you a very clear compass reading on where you're going in life. And it can give you a lot of hope, especially if you've been feeling a bit down and out or feeling like you've been in a dark night of the soul. This is a fantastic way to help you get back on track by seeing what your highest possible future can actually be. And also in package C, you get 10 other bonus webinars. It comes out to over 30 hours of my webinars and courses that you get with package C, and you can do those in between our calls on your own time. Some of them are audio, Some of them are video. They're all between an hour and a half and 3 hours in length, and they're just chocked full of information. I get great feedback about the webinars. People really enjoy them. So that's on Package C, and there's also the 2-payment option for Package B or Package C. There's a Package D option as well for people who really want to dive in and have a long-term commitment with myself. You get additional sessions in Package D that are called optimization coaching sessions, which are really intended to keep you on track physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and to go much more in depth than we can do in the 6 sessions alone. So if you want to check out the options for the spiritual mentoring package, go to my website. Again, it's youaredivinehuman.org. Scroll your mouse over private sessions, and it's the first tab. Click on spiritual mentoring packages, and you can then read over all the different options. By the way, everything I mentioned, all of the different types of sessions and all of the different types of courses that I mentioned, they're all available for purchase a la carte. If the packages won't work for you, you can schedule sessions on your own on my website. You can pick your own time, and also all of the webinars and courses are available for purchase as well. And if you have any questions about anything, you have questions about the package options, you have questions about the different types of sessions and which one might be best for you, you have questions about the webinars, you have questions about anything you think I can answer for you, you have a personal question, you can ask that as well. I'm happy to answer. If it's something that will require reading, I'll just tell you that it would require reading, but it may not. I may be able to just answer it for you. Anyways, if you'd like to get in contact with me, go to my website, youaredivinehuman.org. The bottom right corner of the screen, you'll see my face, and it says Matthew John, have questions, ask Matthew. Click on that tab, type in your question, then type in your correct email address, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if for any reason you don't see that tab on your browser, just scroll your mouse over the More button and click on Contact Me and type in your question and your email, and I will get back to you as well. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this transmission. I know it was a long one today, so if you listened all the way through, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that, and share the content with friends and family. And have a wonderful, wonderful Virgo full moon. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be kind to animals, and be kind to the earth. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks on the upcoming new moon. With love, this is Matthew John.